Defense wins championships, and today I'm bringing you my Week 13 defensive rankings. If you like winning and you like defense, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, as we are on the way to 2,500 subscribers here on the 4for4 Fantasy Football YouTube channel, and we want you to be thankful, and we're thankful for you. Number one, we're starting off in the S tier, and I will say this about defense. There are some good matchups, there's some bad matchups, and these rankings will 100% be changing as we approach kind of the games, but as I'm recording this on Monday, it's coming out on Tuesday. This is where I'm currently sitting. My S tier. First matchup is going to be the New England Patriots, where the over-under applied team total is 44.5. We're looking at the Giants at 19 points. Right now, as much as the Giants just went absolutely bananas versus the Detroit Lions, I just think the New England Patriots, when you have Christian Gonzalez, when you have this front seven that's been playing pretty stout, I understand they gave up some yardage to the Cincinnati Bengals. I just want them here as my number one overall matchup when we're looking at the model and we're looking at this matchup versus the Giants. You got to feel good about the New England Patriots and kind of where they're headed into kind of this rest of the week. Now we move on to my defense number 2, and it is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we've been targeting the Tennessee Titans as an offense as a whole for our defense. I wanted to put the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1. It just felt like they've been a little bit inconsistent whole season to allow that. They've been, of course, a top 5 defense for defenses to be playing against, with the implied team total for Tennessee Titans being only 17.5 points, with the over-under being 41.5. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars in this matchup. I just didn't like them more than I like the New England Patriots. I think the New England Patriots have a little bit stronger of a defense as a whole, and that's why I have the New England Patriots at 1 and then the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2. My third overall defense this week is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers as they're taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. We're talking about the Raiders being a team that is absolutely getting floored when it comes to what we just saw from Chip Kelly getting fired. I want to be going up against this offense. They can't seem to move the ball no matter who they're playing. And so because of this, we want the Chargers in this overall matchup. And I think it's a great matchup. Now, I hope Genty and Brock Bowers for my own fantasy teams can get it going, but who's going to be calling the plays? They're catching them on after a really bad week. You got to have the Los Angeles Chargers here as a top 3 defense this week. Feel really good. Now we move on to what A tier, and I have these as listed as strong starts. We started off Miami Dolphins versus New Orleans. New Orleans has kind of struggled to move the ball a little bit. We also have Alvin Kamara, who's going to be potentially out in this Week 13 game. -6 overall line for Miami, with the implied team total being New Orleans only scoring 18 points. Since it's such a low-scoring game, I understand the Dolphins have been anything but consistent this season. But if you do target and play a defense, the Miami Dolphins could be a really interesting streamer option for you, and I have them here in the A tier. We move on to my defense number 5, and this is going to be the Denver Broncos going up against the Washington Commanders. Now, the part of this is I'm assuming Jaden Daniels is not going to be playing. There's a chance that Jaden Daniels isn't back until the Week 14 matchup, and so for this, Denver Broncos slide into defense number 5, and you could maybe make the argument they have been a top 3 defense all season, super dominant with the pass rush, with the way that they're playing against the pass as a whole. And so Washington's only projected right now 18.5 points. So for me, could make a case that Denver should be at the top of this tier. I just prefer the Miami Dolphins going up against New Orleans just a little bit more. Okay, my defense number 6, still here in the A tier. This is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles, we saw just in a flurry give up 21 points in the early part of the second half to the Dallas Cowboys. But that's also assuming that the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears offenses are the same. They are not. And Philadelphia Eagles, for me, are a team that I want to be targeting here in this matchup. I think they are honestly a top 7 defense as a whole, but I have them sliding in here as my defense number 6. Got to feel really good about this in the matchup versus Caleb Williams, who, as much as, of course, he can get outside the pocket, maybe create a little extra time for himself, there is just that overall turnover upside that happens with Caleb Williams as he tries to make extra plays happen. And the Philadelphia Eagles, their front 4 and their linebackers have been elite as of late. Now, my defense number 7 here in this matchup, and kind of still in this A tier, it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers as they're going up against the Cleveland Browns. San Francisco is -6.5 total points, with the implied team total being 17.25 points for the Cleveland Browns. Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? Is it going to be Dylan Gabriel? I don't know, but that's also assuming we just saw really great things from Shedeur Sanders, but he's also playing against the Raiders. Go try and play against the 49ers and Robert Saleh. I think that's going to be a little bit different of a matchup. So sliding San Francisco 49ers here into my A tier as a top 7 overall defense. Now, I would say this. We kind of move into these B tier, and I would say some of these matchups are good, but there's upsides and there's downsides when it comes to these overall teams. B tier, starting off, it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens versus, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals. We have Joe Burr and Jamar Chase returning, which is great. We also don't know what the status of Kyle Hamilton is, but Cincinnati is currently projected 22.25 points. But the way the Baltimore Ravens, how strong they've been playing defense as of late, I mean, you slide them in here. Do you feel great starting them, knowing that Jamar Chase typically just pops off against your team randomly and you're not expecting it? Probably not. But Baltimore Ravens, top 8 here. They've been getting interceptions. They've been getting turnovers. They've been holding teams. Baltimore Ravens here as my defense number 8. My defense number 9 is going to be Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against Arizona. Marvin Harrison Jr. might be back this week, and this could maybe push them down a little bit lower in this tier, with the implied team total, of course, being only 21.5 points for Arizona versus Tampa Bay right now. It's a favorable matchup. Cards have been inconsistent, but Jacoby Brissett and Michael Wilson are getting on the same path. So I guess that's the only worry that I have, is they can 100% stop the run. But can they stop the pass, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially at the fact that maybe Baker, is he going to play in Week 13 or not? That could also force the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense into maybe not as many great situations as a whole, but you got to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as my defense number 9. My defense number 10 is going to be the Indianapolis Colts as they're going up against Houston. Whether it's CJ Stroud or whether it's Mills, does not matter to me. I like this matchup. Now, Texans have been improving as a whole, and so it's not, we saw really great things from the Houston Texans defense versus the Bills. But the Bills, if you played the Bills last week, it wasn't the best. I think this is a decent floor play for the Colts, but they're going to need some interceptions. They're going to need some turnovers and some stuff to go their way to actually end up achieving a little bit better spot for me in my rankings than, of course, my 10th overall defense. My defense number 11 is going to be the Atlanta Falcons versus the Jets. And if this was the Jets with Justin Fields, we'd probably have the Atlanta Falcons in the A tier. But the reason that we don't have them in the A tier is the Jets kind of move the ball on the Baltimore Ravens to a certain extent. Tyrod Taylor didn't look terrible. A.D. Mitchell, John Mechie didn't look terrible. And so for me, Jets have been a pretty much a top 3 matchup for defenses all season, with the Jets right now only projected 18.5 points. But you got to kind of lean into this in this matchup. Atlanta Falcons could potentially be a higher ranked defense as we approach. Maybe they move up to like my defense number 9. But right now, as I kind of have it sitting, it's just hard for me to want to push them any higher up my rankings. My defense number 12, it's going to be the Giants as they go up against New England. I don't want to play a defense as they're going up against Drake May, but we did see Drake May, some of the armor come off, where we saw him throw an interception versus Cincinnati, and the New York Giants can absolutely get after the passer. And so for me, with that pass rush that the Giants can provide, has me a little bit worried, and I think the Giants can get some sacks in this game. Now, New England's their total implied team total is 25.5. So some things are going to have to go the Giants' way. And like I said, I don't love all the matchups this week, but this is kind of where I have my defense number 12. My defense number 13 is going to be the Jets as they're going up against Atlanta. Again, we talked about the Atlanta Falcons defense a little bit earlier. This could be a defensive showout. I just get a little bit worried, like I said, the depth here on the New York Jets defense as a whole. But this is a really, really low over underscoring game when it comes to Atlanta Falcons versus the Jets. So I have the Jets here as my defense number 13. My defense number 14 is going to be Seattle, as Seattle is going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I could be super low. Seattle has been a top 3, top 2 defense on the season. And we just saw the Green Bay Packers do dirty things to the Minnesota Vikings defense, or do dirty things to the Minnesota Vikings offense when we're talking J.J. McCarthy and the team. I just don't think Kevin O'Connell has 2 bad weeks in a row. And I could be wrong. And maybe J.J. McCarthy is not the truth. I don't think he's the truth. I think he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. But the fact that Seattle, I'm just a little bit worried about this game. It's a great spread. Minnesota is projected only 17 points. It's just hard for me to want to bet against Kevin O'Connell and push them any higher. So maybe you make the argument that, hey, Seattle should actually be like defense number 10. Like, I prefer them over the Colts. This is such a small range for me in difference that you probably are not dropping Seattle if you own them, because if you drop them, then you're probably not getting them back, or you're going to have to spend a ridiculous amount of fab or have the waiver wire to actually get it. But the Seattle there is my defense number 14, and then my defense number 15 is the Houston Texans as they're going up against the Colts. We just saw them absolutely pop off versus the Buffalo Bills, so I'm not necessarily concerned about the fact that the Houston Texans can score fantasy football points against an elite level offense. But if you like fantasy football, if you like winning, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, as we are on the way to 2,500 subscribers. We're actually on the way to 3,000 subscribers. So we want you here. I'm thankful for you guys on this Thanksgiving week. Eat some turkey for me, eat some mashed potatoes, and I'll catch you on the next one.